Moon and Strider. Say hello, guys.
Yo.
All right, so we're gonna go over your draft real quick. Okay, you guys have got your report card. You've seen everything. Now let's go through it. The first round, you guys went with Indeedee, Porygon Z after that, Corviknight, the Alolan Raichu, Polywrath, Kanto Marowak, Turtonator. You got Spritzy, Mime Jr., and Noibat to clean it up. All right, so right off the bat, we gave you a B minus on the synergy stuff. We think that you really don't have that great of you don't have a fire water grass core at all. You kind of don't have that steel fairy dragon core that is good, but you have a lot of pairs. You have a lot of things that kind of go together in general. So we're not just going to hit you for not having that standard stuff that you want in a draft. NDD Porygon Z, incredibly powerful. There's no way that you can ignore that at all. The Corviknight is an awesome win condition. The Raichu, Follow Me, has Nuzzle for speed control. Has just in general a fast mon, gets access to expanding force now, and with the NDD you can start psychic spamming things. Really, even though you don't have the typical cores that you usually would like to see out of a draft, there's so many threats on this roster that I just don't think that there's any way that you can ignore some of these things and just not fear this team when you go against it, when you're scheduled against it.
Yeah, that's also why we gave you we rated you an A on threat level because there's so many massive threats. You have Porygon Z that can just blow through tons of teams. There's very few Pokemon that can resist it, especially given adaptability and the kind of coverage it gets. You have a powerful size spam mode. Corviknight's an amazing win condition. If you set it up with a bulk up or an iron defense, there's not a lot of things that can really take it down. And even the Kanto Marowak, it does a huge amount of damage with Thick Club. I believe it was a Moon that was even running a belly drum set at one point, which seems like overkill to me, but it's effective if you can get those +6 Thick Club moves off. So something to watch out for. So clearly there's a lot of massive threats that you absolutely have to respect. So we gave you an A on that one. When it comes to the draft grade, we bumped you down to a C on the draft grade because we felt like it was, as you can see in one of our cons is that your draft is very top heavy. You drafted 2 S tiers and 2 A tiers. That takes a lot of points, and so you don't have a whole lot of stuff to spend on your later picks. So which is why we saw that you guys got a D tier and 2 E tiers, which let's be honest, they're probably not going to see the light of day most of the time. And we also even your other picks beyond round 4, we thought they were a little bit questionable. We thought that I thought the draft, in my eyes anyway, sort of kind of fell apart almost after the Raichu pick. I'm sure you guys had your reasons for some of these things, but just it just doesn't quite seem as powerful once you got into round 5 and beyond. So that's why we grade you a little bit lower on the draft grade.
But look, fact of the matter is, your overall draft grade came out to a B. The reason why is fine. You got 7 Mons, a third of them are D tier or lower. It happens. But these 7 that you guys have, they're ridiculous. You have to respect them. And I think in the hands of good players like you two, which we've seen you last year, we know that you guys are playoff ready teams. We know you guys prep. We know you guys, have the memes. You guys have that ability to pull stuff out that people aren't going to expect. Like, we've seen that stuff out of you guys. So we know that even though this draft is very top heavy in our opinion, it's in the hands of competent players, and you guys are more than competent. This is easily a playoff team. We'd like to give you that B plus, and we would even like to have bumped you up to that A minus, but we would have liked to see the full 6 just fleshed out rather than after round 4. It's just like we have to tack these on. Even though I understand that like they synergize well, it really seemed like we were going for things that might not have been optimal that you may have wanted in the end. So we'll just go with the pros and cons real quick. The pros, obviously, like we said, very strong win cons. Really don't need to go over that anymore. We're pretty much a broken record. You got Porygon Z, and then you got Corviknight too, which is one of the few things that kind of counters Porygon Z in weird ways because like you can switch it in and get a nice speed drop on the Porygon Z a lot of times because they're gonna go for the max strike. So you're like, yeah, you know what? We'll take the counter too. Like, love it, fantastic. So incredibly strong win cons. You guys did yourself a great service in these first 4 rounds. I mean, you really can't say anything more about that. And best redirector in the draft. I mean, NDD is great. It stops fake out with psychic terrain. There's not a lot of terrain users in the first place, so you can lead that pretty confidently most weeks and just kind of be like, all right, we're gonna have terrain control. So, I think that's just fantastic. Being able to get NDD and build around that. You have your mind in the right place, definitely.
And to top it all off, your offensive threats, pretty much all of the big ones have the option to set up, but they don't even really need to. I know both Porygon Z and Alolan Raichu have access to Nasty Plot, so you could set that up, but they don't even really need it necessarily. I mean, we all know Porygon Z can hit super hard by itself. Expanding Force from Raichu is going to be big in Psychic Terrain. Uh, Marowak, you can use Curse. I mentioned Belly Drum. I think it gets Sword Stance too.
Yeah.
But again, you don't even necessarily need one of them because with the thick club, it just does so much damage on its own. But you do have that option. I think that's pretty powerful as well.
Yeah.
As for the cons, we mentioned the top heavy draft. The Polywrath, me in particular, I felt the Polywrath was a sort of a questionable pick. We can get into that. We thought it might be a little bit hard for you guys to counter Trick Room. We know Turtonator is pretty slow. Kanto Marowak is obviously slow. I just thought it might be a little bit difficult for you guys to counter certain Trick Room teams, especially because kind of the baseline for Trick Room sweepers is often a 30 base speed. Turtonator's base 36, and its offenses are not that great, so it might struggle to help with that. Marowak base 45 speed. You can underspeed those base 30s with a curse potentially, so might require a little bit of setup, but you can do it. Um, but I felt it might have been a little bit tough for you guys to do that. And lastly, because your threats are so obvious and the modes that you guys want to go for are very clear. It makes you guys a little bit more predictable and therefore easier to prep for because when somebody's playing against your draft, they kind of know what to expect.
Exactly. So, with that said, we're going to ask you guys a few questions, and then you'll be able to ask us some questions back so that way you can have some type of rebuttals or, just explanations on anything that you might have heard that you might have answers for that you might want to answer for right now. So, the first question is we mentioned it a couple of times during the report card. Polywrath. What was the thought process in general behind drafting Polywrath in the 5th round?
Kind of just like water type. Okay, so basically, we planned our draft out from the very start. We knew every single mon that we wanted to get. We knew all of our points and everything. So we knew that we were drafting Marowak very early on, and we needed something that resisted water. And Poliwrath kind of just did that. And not to mention, there's several things on this team that can set rain for it. Not to mention, it can set its own rain. So we figured that even though, and to some people, like what you guys were saying, like just looking at it is kind of underwhelming. But that's kind of the surprise factor we're going for, right there.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also fighting, there was a Stark which we didn't.
Yeah.
We kind of struggled against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, at first glance, it does seem potentially a little bit out of place, but I think you guys do have good reasoning for it.
Definitely. And honestly, we get it. The water types went up really quick in this draft. That's something that people need to get to. After the 4th round, it was really dry, and then it's no pun intended. It was really dry for water types, but especially in that tier, I believe that was a B tier pick for you guys. It was going to be tough to find something that was going to do what you guys wanted, and I think for that, you guys, the Poliwrath picks makes more sense. The next question I wanted to ask was you built the team around NDD. Best, we talked about it already. Best redirector in the format, bar none. You guys picked it second overall, I believe. Great pick.
First.
I'm sorry, second overall in the draft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great pick in general. But did you get the sweeper that you wanted? I know that you said you planned it out. Were you able to get the sweeper that you wanted and really get it, or did somebody sweep you or snipe you along the way, I should say? And let's get moving on this one.
Yes, we never got sniped for the entire
once.
draft, which we're very surprised by. So a lot of these picks we think would go early. I mean, even Marowak's such a steal for B tier.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
We were surprised.
Yeah, we kind of just here when we were just playing the draft, we wanted to have an ED Porygon Z Corviknight because it makes such a strong core.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I mean, yeah, because we immediately just looked at PZ and we were like, "Come to me, my child." It's like it can mow through so many teams.
Yes.
It just mows through so many teams that can't, like, if you don't have a resist to it, dead. Like,
and even with resist, like you're probably you can still get O-code. You can still get O-code even if you resist it.
Yeah.
Great speed stat too. Great special attack
really
stat.
dumb.
Yes, it's good. All right, and
yeah, it's a dumb Pokemon.
Okay, and the next one is in 13 of 14 teams. If we surveyed them this, which Raichu are you taking first if both of them are on the board? 13 of them go Kanto Raichu. You are the team that said, nah, give us the Alolan one. We want that. Obviously, it makes sense. We're looking at your draft. We're not dumb. Expanding Force, Psychic Spam stuff, absolutely, that's something you want. And if you were planning on taking a Kanto Marowak in the draft, it totally makes sense that you guys, went for, we need, we don't need the lightning rod. It's not that big of a deal. We can go with this instead. But was there any other reason why you guys decided to go with Alolan Raichu over Kanto Raichu when pretty much every team unanimously would have said, give me the Kanto one?
Well, okay, being completely honest with you, we didn't start with any of the Indeedee, Porygon Z, Corviknight stuff. I hopped on a call with Zach one day and he was like, hey, so we're drafting Alolan Raichu for draft. And I was like, why? We're drafting Alolan Raichu for draft. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And Zach has an obsession.
Kind of. Also, having a psychic type is kind of nice in general.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, more tactically, again, we knew what we were going for.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew Cantonian Marowak was there.
Yeah.
And
it can function well. Because it can set up its own electric terrain. It can have something else set up electric terrain for it. Then it gets access to rising voltage and doubled speed. It's just a great support model all around.
I mean, I think another benefit of drafting Raichu is that we debated a certain team into running Pincursion. So
I wonder who would snipe that from us. It wasn't really a snipe. I mean, we were debating Pincursion, but we decided to take Polywrath instead because we needed that water type.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been an obvious. It's obvious that it would have fit really good in there. So yeah, it makes sense that you guys would have at least been discussing it. Why not? But I have to ask Zach, what's the obsession with Alolan Raichu?
Okay, so this was post Worlds last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was very bored with the format, and
was it AC?
Yeah, it was Atlantic City Regionals
Okay,
that I first ran it, and I actually won only dropping like 3 games for the entire tournament
with Alolan Raichu. This was post Worlds 19.
Yeah, I ran it with Kyogre. I mean, having Nuzzle for speed control, helping out Kyogre, sweet.
Much respect.
Fake out was good. Surge Surfer Encore, you can Encore Xerneas and Geomancy.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, very cool tech. Makes a lot more sense why you guys decided to take the Alolan version over the Kanto version. you kind of already mentioned Pink Urchin, but was there anything else that I know you say you didn't get sniped, but looking back now, would you have gone, maybe we try and grab that water type in the earlier rounds, maybe anything that you regret that maybe you kind of could have drafted a little bit better, anything?
Well, I mean, there's certainly things that were like we could look back on and say, oh, well, we could have gotten that. But like that's the same with any team. And I mean, us as individuals kind of just like, hey, that Pokemon's cool. Let's draft it without thinking at all, and then we come up with the plan.
Hey.
Yeah.
So like, we're kind of idiots. Yeah. But we're good idiots.
No. I mean, especially Polywrath. Polywrath's a good example of. Yeah, I think we needed all of our A tiers and above. So basically, we need to draft a water type from a lower tier, which they're kind of just not that many. I mean, we could have drafted Dreadnought or something, but we also liked the fighting type as well.
Yeah, the fighting typing was really important to us.
It helps us with Dark because at this point we had Indeedee and Raichu, and like the only resist we have is Spritzy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Spritzy's fairly bulky, but
don't tell.
We ran aromatisse.
Yeah,
we know. There are some nice tricks. We're known for also running an Iron Ball aromatisse because it underspeeds Stack Attacker by 1 point. So, yeah, fun week.
So yeah, I do like your justification for the fighting type on Polywrath as well. So
yeah, definitely. So that wraps up the questions.
As for Turtonator, we were considering running another like more TR heavy mon, but then again, kind of keeping with the theme of us being not very smart, I was just like, "Hey, Turtonator's cool," and he was just like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah, and also Dragon and Fire are pretty good typings. We wanted another Grass resist other than just Corviknight, and now we have 2 quad resist for Grass.
Grass types be gone.
I mean,
it's also pretty slow, which helps us get Trick Room.
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Definitely. Okay, so that wraps up the questions from us. Did you guys have any comments on, our analysis on your draft? Maybe defend any, points that we had? We had a few cons for you. Anything that you guys may have wanted to cover?
I'm just glad that you guys think that we're very predictable. It makes it easier.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure every single week last year we brought at least one weird item or tech.
Oh yeah, no. Our team is known for having the nichest of the niche picks.
Yeah, because last year, I forgot what week it was, but Solgaleo got all 6 kills on the opponent with Earthquake because we just led Charizard, Solgaleo, Scarf, Bulldoze, Full Metal Body for speed drop, activate policy, and kill everything with Earthquake.
That's the entire reason people wanted Solgaleo banned.
Also, no, it didn't even need to do that because there are other weeks where it just wouldn't die and got kills.
Yeah, I not to put too much commentary on this, I wasn't one of those that thought Solgaleo needed to be banned. Maybe because we had no problem with it in our division.
Too.
But yeah, we thought U tier was fine for it. It's a strong U, but it costs a lot of points, which is something that you guys obviously saw last year too, where you guys were constantly dropping stuff to kind of fill in those areas, to compensate in the latter weeks. Yeah, but. Definitely, guys. You guys.
I mean, again, we only got top 8 last time, so maybe that's a telling sign. Wait, was it top 8 or top 4?
No, top 8.
Top 8. Top 4 in our division. Top 8 total.
Okay.
But yeah, no. I mean, like I said, we're familiar with you guys. We know you guys ran the Scarf Charizard a lot. You guys brought it to the playoff game too. Like, it's no doubt that it's extremely dangerous. That you guys are extremely dangerous when you guys are given some powerful offensive stuff like this.
It makes me curious to see what you guys are going to do with this.
Yeah, it really does because, I mean, there's definitely some tricks on here. We talked about it before. We didn't want to give up those texts, so we chose not to ask those questions. But, you guys definitely have some tricks on here that are definitely going to surprise some people. But yeah, guys.
And I think every single Pokemon on our team has at least some sort of use. Our last pick, we just chose Noibat because it has Frisk, it has Tailwind.
We chose Noibat. We chose Noibat because I forgot to draft GMAX Eevee because it was supposed to be a meme, but then I was just like tired.
Yeah,
transactions.
And also,
week 2.
Dragon Legacy from Noivern last season, so
Yeah, Baby Noivern. Like Zach said, every single Pokemon on our team has a trick. Some of them even have more than one trick. We are very good at making people. We're very good at expectation subversion. That's something that us as a duo do very well.
I don't know, even if you look at my regional teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this team reflects it, even if most people don't see that yet.
Well, we definitely see that. And nobody's going to overlook you if you made it into playoffs. So I hate to spoil you guys there, but nobody's not taking you guys seriously. Anybody that's playing you that has kept up with this know that they need to bring it 100%. And the second that they look in a team preview, they know that they got to bring it 100%. So we can't wait to see what's going to come from you guys. We definitely think that you guys have the ability to make playoffs again this year. And honestly, we're hoping you guys can record as many of them as possible, or you guys can get them recorded as many of them as possible, because we want to see these strats, man.
Yeah, I'm already set the cash record.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for your time.
Thanks for having us.
No, thank you.
Us.
And I know we had you guys up against the clock here. We appreciate everything, all right? Take care. And
no problem.
Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
And after this, we are going to be talking to the Matt Alcinas. So stick around, and we'll be cutting to that next. Thanks.